As a PI, there are always numerous demands on your time. You know. And so one of the key decisions you are always making is, should I be applying for this particular grant opportunity? This is often a tricky decision to make because on the one hand, of course, you always need external money to fuel the activities in your lab, but also writing these grant proposals is a lot of work, sometimes with low probability of success. So it becomes a key decision where you put your efforts in terms of proposal writing, and this video is about that. Now, the video is heavily inspired by a paper in Nature by Betty Lai that I'll link to in the description, but I have also added some points of my own and given it my own twist and flavor, so hopefully you'll find it useful and you can also refer back to this additional information. This video is about writing proposals in response to specific calls from funding agencies. Of course, there are also funding agencies that accept basically self-motivated proposals in open calls. This is not about that. This is about a specific opportunity enters in your email box, basically alerting you to a grant opportunity that has just opened with a specific call. Now, since this will be a specific call, the first step is for you to read the call description, at least the summary, and to make a first decision whether you're even eligible to write a grant, this particular call for proposals, because you may be at the wrong career stage, you may be in the wrong position for this particular grant, or you may otherwise not meet requirements of this particular opportunity. So that's the first. Once you have established that you are eligible, then let's go through these 10 points, whether you should write this proposal or not. Now, the first point is, how closely does this call for proposal, or the type of research that they want and have described therein, really match what you do, what you have done, what your experience is. Now, there's always going to be a temptation to write a grant, even if you're only tangentially related to this particular topic in the call for proposal, but consider that that will take an extra effort because maybe you're not as familiar with the literature, you're not familiar with the pitfalls of this particular research area. So if it's really too far outside of your area, and what is too far, really only you can judge in the end, but if it is really too far, I tend to not write that proposal because the effort will be just too large on the one hand, and on the other hand, your chances of really getting this proposal are going to be lower as well because you're not necessarily seen as an expert in this particular field. Second point, how long is the proposal? This is also not a minor consideration because it makes a big difference if you have to write dozens of pages and if there is a lot of extraneous things in addition to the particular proposal text that you have to write, like the science per se. Or is this basically just a 1 or 2 pager or a 5 pager that is going to be much less effort to produce? So consider the length of the proposal that they are expecting and all the other requirements that come with submitting this proposal then. The third point, what are the chances of being funded? Now, sometimes this is not as obvious, but often the funder will have some general information or even specific information on grant success rates of past calls on their website. And if you see, well, this particular grant proposal has a chance of 5% to be funded, that would sway it heavily towards not even trying because you have a 95% chance of failing. That's not promising. Often success rates are in the 10 to 20, sometimes in some isolated programs, chances are much higher, maybe even 50% or even higher. Then that, of course, sways the inclination towards giving it a try. But if the success rates are really low, then really, I think twice about trying it. A fourth point is, well, maybe this is in your general field of science and this is something you have expertise in and something that you could write a proposal on, but is it really closely aligned to what your current goals are and where you want to currently go with your research within this field? Or is it going to be in a totally different direction? And in the end, that may also be a decisive point because, of course, getting this money is nice, and if you have the expertise for this particular area, your chances are higher than if you had not that expertise. But if this really goes in a totally different direction, will it in the end be rather a distraction? Or will it really fuel additional good work in the lab? And so now you have to decide, is this closely aligned with where I really want to go? I want to work more on this particular aspect of this topic. And then, of course, the needle sort of shifts towards submitting a proposal if it is. Fifth point, what is the budget? Writing a proposal is always a lot of effort. And if in the end maybe you can only get a few thousand or 10,000 or something out of this particular effort, may not be worth it. Does that money allow you to actually do the work that you want to do? Will it fund at least a PhD student, let's say, or a postdoc, if this is what you really need? Then, looking at the budget that this call offers is essential. If the budget is, of course, huge and very generous, and if the chances of success are very high, that pushes the needle towards submitting. But if there is kind of a mismatch between the effort required to submit a proposal and the funding outcome in the end, that may push the needle towards don't do this one, maybe wait for a better opportunity. The sixth point, I think, is a very good one to consider, especially when this is more like a larger effort. I've tried to take this into consideration more recently. Like, if I really agree on writing this proposal and it will not be funded, which is the most likely outcome in all cases, then can I still get something out of it? Will, for example, this grant proposal, having written this grant proposal, put me in a network of people that I really want to be in? Will this allow me to build some bridges between disciplines that I really want to build bridges with? Will maybe the consortium that has assembled, if this is more like a team effort, will that maybe produce a paper that I can be a co-author on because there's something new came out of that effort of writing that proposal? Basically, can I get something out of it even if it doesn't get funded? That really pushes the needle towards trying it, because that effort doesn't seem to be completely wasted. Also, maybe can I put this proposal, or can the team put this proposal to another funding agency if this one is not successful, or a different call? That, of course, also speaks to how versatile can this proposal be used in the end, or is this a specific one-time call that's never going to appear again? That's, of course, then higher risk and makes it less attractive. But so, can I reuse this, or can something come out of this proposal even if it's not funded? And if it's a single investigator proposal, this question can be, does this allow me to think about my topic more broadly, and does it sort of encourage me to, take a broader look at things, and can that in the end be a benefit for me, even if it doesn't get funded? Can I, for example, then write a review paper on this topic because I've thought of it more broadly? Then that can also be a benefit, even if the proposal is not funded in the end. Now, the next 2 points, 7 and 8, are about team proposals. And the first point is, number 7, is like, if this is a team proposal, like a consortium proposal to, let's say, like the EU or something like this, then it makes a tremendous difference whether you are an invited member of a consortium, let's say. So you're a contributor to a particular work package or part of a work package or a task, or are you the one leading this entire thing, or even a substantial part of this proposal? That makes a huge difference. I think, it would be completely silly to lead a huge international effort, let's say, on a topic that is not like your main passion, because this will take so much time to coordinate such international consortia that you really need a lot of institutional backing on the one hand, but also personal passion to pull through this. And the threshold, of course, is much, much lower if you are contributing. I mean, yes, there will still be meetings to go to, and you will still have to fit into somebody else's mindset, and you have to fit into the certain work packages, and you still have to coordinate with others, but the effort is going to be substantially reduced compared to these heroes that basically lead these proposals or substantial parts of the proposal. And point 8, also about teams, is like, how well do you know the people that are going to be part of this team? Let's say if you are invited. And therefore, how fun will this be? Because they're great people, maybe they're friends, or they're people that always wanted to get to know better, for example. That, to me, can be a huge, can carry a huge weight in my decision to either go for it or not go for it. If they're all people I've never heard of, and well, then it may be less likely for me to contribute. But if there are people that I know very well and like a lot, and I know working with them is going to be fun, then this will sway me towards basically contributing to this proposal. So this is about the people, not necessarily the topic. So this also means that well, maybe the topic is not exactly where I would now put most of my effort, but these people are so cool. I want to work with them. So then it would push the needle towards I will contribute, because this is going to be fun no matter what. So point 9 is also important. How much support can you get? Can you get institutional support from your funding office, for example? Can they help you or review your proposal and therefore make it more likely to succeed? And also in terms of work effort, can you ask members of your lab, like senior postdocs or staff members, to help you do some of the research required to submit this proposal, or write little text portions that you can use in the proposal, for example, on some methods that you're not so familiar with, because that will, of course, ease the workload on you. And, you know, these people, of course, may be able to profit as well through more funding being in the lab. And if they're sort of incoming PhD students that help you write part of this a little bit, this shouldn't be a huge effort for them either, of course, to be fair. Then they can also directly profit financially in terms of employment from this proposal. This is to be carefully thought through, but I think if you can get some help, if you can delegate some of the tasks in the proposal writing process to somebody else, this will, of course, be reducing your workload and effort required to get this proposal out the door. And that has in the past also been important for me. Can I get somebody to help me write a certain proposal? Then I would be more willing to put in the effort. But if I have to do it completely on my own, maybe I just can't do it right now. And then finally, the 10th point is, how great is the urgency and pressure for you to get money, right? I mean, this we cannot ignore with all the points above. Like if you have to fulfill certain program requirements on your path towards tenure or to secure your position or other institutional requirements, it will lower the threshold for you to submit a proposal just to have the chance of getting some funding acquisition, even though maybe the other parameters are not quite in the optimal corridor, like, you know, maybe you don't know the people you're submitting this with, or maybe this topic is not exactly in your area, or this is not exactly where you want to go within this area. And maybe the budget is not so great, but in the end, when it's really of the essence that you submit a proposal and eventually get some funded, then it may really push the needle towards submission, even considering all the other points. If you, on the other hand, have already a solidly funded lab, then of course it may ease the pain of passing up an opportunity, basically, because you can still say, well, the lab is funded by this and that, and I can do my work as it is. So this is something, of course, you have to critically reflect, and that depends very much on your situation. So these are my 10 points I had to offer for should you submit this proposal or not. If you have additional thoughts on that, please let me know in the comments. I'm always glad to hear from you. And with that, thanks for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.